Well, welcome to the latest edition of Inside Carolina. I'm your host, Hannah Horn, a proud alumna of the university. Well, in this episode, we're going to hear directly from President Amiridis about an exciting plan to bring South Carolina's first standalone comprehensive medical facility dedicated entirely to caring for diseases of the brain and nervous system. And we'll take you here to the South Carolina Emergency Management Division, where Gamecocks are helping keep South Carolinians safe during hurricanes and other natural hazards. So join us as we go inside Carolina. Up first, President Amiridis shares his vision for this unique hospital that will serve patients both here in South Carolina and across the Southeast.
This is indeed a unique hospital for the state of South Carolina and for the Southeast. It's a hospital that will be focusing on the brain and the diseases of the brain. And attached to it, we'll have a rehabilitation hospital, so the patients can prepare to go back to their houses and continue to have a high quality of life. It's also a hospital for the 21st century, a hospital that is going to have the best equipment that is available, imaging and robotic surgery. And when you have this type of state-of-the-art equipment, the outcomes get better and better for the patients. Some of you may have already heard me saying in the past that part of our mission is to improve the quality of life in South Carolina. And that's exactly the reason that we are doing this. It's our mission and it's our obligation to bridge this gap. It's also important that we are building on success. For the last 18 months, we have created a network for brain health focusing on dementia, and for years we have been very successful in brain imaging through the McCoston Center. Think about the people you know who face challenges with brain health issues. There are many in South Carolina, and each one of us has a family member or a friend or a neighbor that has gone through it. These are the people who will benefit from this hospital, along with their families and their friends. We're excited to lead this effort, and we are looking forward to improving the outcomes in South Carolina.
And speaking of serving our state, the University of South Carolina is training the next generation of emergency preparedness professionals at USC's Hazards, Vulnerability, and Resilience Institute. Let's meet some fellow Gamecocks who are keeping us safe and informed. We're here in the State Emergency Operations Center, and when disaster strikes the state, this room comes to life with hundreds of emergency management professionals working together to mitigate the effects of the disaster. Though it is quiet here now, emergency management is a full-time job, and there are dedicated Gamecocks like Melissa Potter and Tyler Spires working here around the clock to make sure we are prepared to weather the storm.
Everyone here at E&D interacts with hazards and social vulnerability. The two are tied to emergency management. If we didn't have people and hazards, we wouldn't have emergency management.
My job as the hazard mitigation officer is to know those communities, know who's at risk, and that is specifically looking at social vulnerability. That is knowing those communities offhand. How are we helping those communities? What resources are we providing them?
Though Tyler and Melissa have served our state through various natural disasters, their journeys as emergency management professionals began as students at USC. Tyler was an undergraduate student in the geography department in 2015 when the devastating flood hit the state, and he saw an opportunity to pioneer a new type of data collection.
A lot of research around the 2015 flood, looking at social media and geolocating social media posts for where the actual flood extents were. The capacities are kind of expended upon primary life and safety. And then once you kind of exceed that, there's still more people that don't report damages. That's kind of like using social media is kind of a free way of exporting that into your data and then trying to figure out who was impacted and how badly. There's always the meme of the shark that's on the interstate. Yeah, we know that really didn't happen. You have to kind of go through and know what you're looking for to make sure that you get the right data and can actually use it for good purposes.
As a graduate student at USC, Melissa was brought onto a project that not only taught her about natural hazards and emergency management, but led her to a fulfilling career.
One of my last projects was actually very helpful for my career because I was working on some grant funding from this agency, from South Carolina Emergency Management Division. The Hazards Lab had been asked to help with the state mitigation plan. As a research associate, I was able to do a lot of the data collection, improve the data, and did some analysis to help SCEMD determine what the risks were in the state and how they changed county by county. And so that really helped me with my first job here, because I pretty much transitioned all those skills and got to use the data that I had created as a grad student when I got over here.
For these Gamecocks, the future of emergency management lies in mitigation and collaboration.
We really need to focus in on mitigation and building resilience.
How does mitigation potentially be impacted in the future? Is this a spot that we see recurring flooding in that we could do a storm study in, or to figure out where the storm water is going, localized flood reduction, things like that? We use the data, we use what we observe as kind of influencing the future decisions that are made.
I can plan all day long. And I do. I promise you, all day long we're concerned about all kinds of things, and we're working endlessly, and we're thinking about those emerging threats. You know, you can sit here in my seat and say, you know, we need a plan for a long-term power outage. And then you hear about what that would look like, and it is terrifying. So we collectively have to be brave enough to tackle it and provide the resources to tackle it too.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you to the South Carolina Emergency Management Division for hosting us today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and fellow alumni, and we will see you next month inside Carolina.